Welcome back. Right now we will be talking about the ways that we can be a service to ourselves as well as a service to others. Joining us today is an actor, author, life coach to talk about his book, Weight Release, A Liberating Journey. Now he says that in the new decade we should get rid of our old attitude about weight loss and embrace a new one. Please welcome Freeman Michaels. Now, you don't even like the term weight loss.
I don't, because if you lose something that has served a valuable purpose, you're going to have to find it or replace it. And when we're talking about eating habits, I call them patterns of behavior around food, or we're talking about the weight itself, it actually has served a valuable purpose. The food may be a way of comforting. Even the weight can be an added sort of protection, a way we've learned to defend ourselves in the world. So when you just lose it, you're going to have to find something else. Okay, so let's back up a little bit.
Sure. You actually were heavy, yes. And so tell me about how you went up and then back down.
Well, so food for me has always been, I've gone up and down my whole life. And when I was an actor, and this is back now in the middle 90s, I was very thin because I was working to stay thin, and I was starving myself. I was under-eating, trying to be at this ideal, this sort of cultural ideal of what I was supposed to look like. And then when I quit acting and ultimately got into real estate development, I ballooned. In large part, I think it was a binge after having deprived myself for so many years, but also just the stress, the anxiety of the business, and I got to 275 pounds. So here's the range. I was 175 pounds when I was on The Young and the Restless, and I was 275 at sort of my peak. And I actually had an event where I ended up in the hospital having chest pains, and I thought I was having a heart attack. I wasn't. But what the doctor said was, look, you're not having a heart attack now, but clearly if you stay on this path, something is going to happen from a health perspective, because it was really unhealthy. And so I had to do something. And I had this background. I was getting my master's degree in spiritual psychology, but I've been doing personal growth for a long time in lots of different ways. So I started applying all the principles to myself. And that's how the book was born, was my own personal process. And I released at the time about 70 pounds. We actually don't use a scale. I say you have to have an internal measurement versus
That's what I was going to say. This book has nothing to do with exercise, diets, special shakes, or anything. So this is not a diet book.
No, not at all.
This is more about a mental exercise to understand who you are, and the weight will come off, or is just a kind of a sidebar to growing yourself internally?
No, you have to do something. So what we design are actually practices. So if you have a habit, that's something you're not doing consciously, let's say you're using food to cope, but you find a strategy, we call them self-honoring practices, okay, where you meet the same need, and then you practice it. Over time, that becomes the new habit. So it isn't that we don't address what the behavior is, we do, but we want to know what's underneath it so we're actually meeting the need. Because again, that behavior is we've known how to cope with anxiety or stress or whatever. And so in order to find a new way, we design practices. So people do actually commit to a plan, as it were, but it's a different orientation. When people look in the mirror and they don't like themselves, they want it gone, they want it fixed, and so you never get to a positive outcome from that negative perspective. And oftentimes they pick crazy diet plans. It's actually a way that they're self-punishing. That seems crazy, but that's what's going on. That's the psychology. There's something wrong with them, and there's nothing wrong with them. See,
it's interesting you say that, because just being on TV too, you always say that puts 10 pounds. You're always fighting that 10 pounds. And then after I had a family, I didn't have time to worry about it, and I just felt confident in myself. And all of a sudden, my friend said, "You look different." I had dropped 20 pounds since my height, and I don't even think about it, but I think it's more of an internal thing, and I had to chalk it up to, oh man, all these years, if I had just known it was just the internal part, I would have had an easier time.
Well, this is it, and I often say to people, the orientation of my process is what really feeds you, right? What's fulfilling? See, when we go for fulfillment, all these things that we're attached to, these ideas of what we should look like, they drop away. See, because we're oriented from the inside out. But so many of us are caught in this thinking pattern, right? Where we're looking at ourselves from the outside in. And that's a trap.
So how does the book help you pull that out? Because a lot of people can't come to these revelations by themselves.
Yes. No, there's a lot of different pieces that have to be put together. When we look at the pattern of behavior, there's a lot behind it that we want to examine. But it all comes back to, how do I honor myself? And when we do that, releasing weight is actually a very natural process.
And And with that, we're going to have to tell people they have to buy the book to get the rest.
I also
Thank
want
you.
to let San Francisco know that I'm at the Jewish Community Center on Monday, Monday, coming up February 8th, talking about the topic at 6:30. So folks can come out and hear a lot about how the process actually works and see if it's right for them.
Thank you so much. For our viewers, they have that information. We'll put all this on the web as well. Thank you very much, Freeman.
Thank you.
Freeman Michaels' Weight Release, A Liberating Journey can be purchased at the local bookstore and online, cbs5.com/BaySunday. Go there and click on Show Information. Click on Weight Release. And we'll be back after this break with more Bay Sunday.